Welcome back to Comic Book History, episode number 45. Yeah, you're probably thinking, wait, was your last episode 42? Well, that turned out to be a typo because I had a couple episodes basically in a row where same episode number, so I had to do a typo. So last episode was actually the 44th episode of the series. Yep. Now, last one I talked about Tim Drake. The Robin that my friend Tivia basically started reading when he got into comic books. When I got into reading DC comic books 10 years ago, he was not Robin at that point. Nope. It's the Robin I'm talking about in this video, the fifth Robin, but fourth according to DC, despite the fact there was actually one between these two. I will discuss Stephanie Brown when I talk about the Batgirls. Now, let's talk about the most recent Robin, Damian Wayne, the son of Bruce Wayne and the smoking hot Talia al Ghul, and of course the grandson of Ra's al Ghul, and of course his other grandparents are Thomas and Martha Wayne, and of course the grandfather figure of Al Pennyworth, the one who was a father figure to Bruce Wayne. Created by Grant Morrison and Andy Kubert. Yep. He made his first appearance in this storyline, believe it or not. Unlike, let's say, with Tim Drake, where he made his first appearance as a kid in the storyline Batman Year 3, which the storyline has been uncollected for over 20 years. Long time, up until about last year when they finally collected and trade. Yes, this storyline right here, Batman and Son, this is the first appearance of, this is the storyline that debuted Damian Wayne, though he wasn't Robin at that point. First appeared in Batman number 655. Yeah, that was his first appearance. Yep, first appearance. And now, I know this particular storyline was loosely adapted for the Son of Batman film that came out a few years ago, which I have seen it, and it's not bad of a movie at all. It's not terrible, except that here's the thing. Deathstroke is nowhere in the original storyline. That was made for the movie. Yeah, Deathstroke the Terminator. Yeah, I'm like, okay, what the heck does he have to do with Ra's al Ghul? He has some loose association with him in the comic books, but he wasn't created by him. Now, Talia and Ra's were creations of the late Denny O'Neil. Though Neil Adams worked on Ra's, Talia was co-created by somebody else. Now, it was also, of course, Damian's beautiful aunt, Nyssa. She's a creation of Chuck Dixon. Yeah, he has an aunt and he has an uncle too, which they don't really speak about Raz's son very much. Mostly it's a lot about Raz's beautiful daughter, Talia. Yes. Now, how he was conceived is, there's a couple different versions of the story. In the original version of Damian's backstory, he was conceived via Talia basically drugging and raping Batman on the Tropic of Cancer of all things. In the current continuity, it was consensual. Why the heck Grant Morrison did this for, I have no idea. Especially to a character that he did a really good job with. It's one of the few things I personally didn't really care for. Of course, I wasn't reading at that point. I didn't get started reading the Batman comics until 2010. Though I have since read it, of course. Now, after this story, he did appear briefly in The Dark Love, which came out right after this one. It was Dark Love was Batman RP briefly in that, and he basically pivotally chronologically next time period after Batman's Son wrapped up, he next appeared in the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, which Grant Morrison also wrote, though a different artist on it because Andy Kubert was nowhere near the storyline. Though it was the end of the first arc he showed up in that he basically decided to steal the Jason Todd costume and became unofficially Robin. This lasted about 3 years up until the events of Battle for the Cowl, where during that particular event, basically the main villain in that storyline was Jason Todd. Now, this pivotal miniseries, this 3-issue miniseries, was written and drawn by Tony S. Daniel. By far, in my opinion, one of his best series he's ever worked on. Now, I never met the guy in person, but I've always wanted to meet him, and he's personally one of my favorite artists. I think he's basically either number 2 or number 3 of my favorite Batman artists. Number 1 is basically Neil Adams, of course. He did play a small role in that storyline. He basically just there because he's on the side of Dick Grayson, while basically Dick Grayson's fighting over Jason Todd over the role of Batman, even though that during the course of that storyline, the good Batman was in costume Tim Drake. Yep. And then after that storyline wrapped up, pretty much we had a few different series Damian was featured in. Yes. It was right after that storyline, Damian was officially recognized as Robin, and basically Tim Drake became Red Robin, which he had the title up until very recently. Yep. Damian himself became officially Robin in 2009. Now, he did go some training in the main Batman series under Joe Winnick, but they also basically have him appear in a couple of series. He appeared in the Batman and Robin series, where it was first written by Grant Morrison, and then after he left, they had 3 different writers on the book. Yeah, first it was Peter Tomasi, then it was the writer for that awesome storyline that followed up with the whole thing with Red Hood, and then of course that really weird final issue, which, if you're curious still about the first 5 Batman and Robin, and you only know about the trades, here's the thing. You probably assumed that the first 5 lasted for 25 issues. Nope. That's actually a lie, because DC Comics chose not to collect the final issue. Why? Because I've read it. It is by far one of the most weirdest art styles I've ever seen, and it's pivotal for introducing the French version of the Joker. A character, he's known as the Man Who Laughs, by the way, named after the film Man Who Laughs, which was basically the film inspiration for the Joker. Oh yeah, he's got a permanent smile. Oh, if you're curious though, did he ever get a chance to meet the actual Joker after the storyline? Nope, because it New 52 happened. Now, if you read the Batman Robin under Grant Morrison, it is fantastic. It is a really good first 16 issues. Damn good storyline. Whole thing with Simon Hurt, and the fact this storyline was actually referenced when Damian showed up during an arc for Nightwing. Yeah, it was a love letter. And also, here's something quite interesting though. During the Batman and Robin series, instead of having Dick Grayson, who became Batman during this period of time, he was Batman from 2009 to 2011. Batman officially for 2 years. Despite the fact Bruce came back. His Batmobile actually flew. Yes, for some reason they decided Grant Morrison thought this was an interesting idea. How'd the thing frickin' fly? Yes, the Batmobile, like it's out of Batman Beyond. Why the heck they decided to do this? No idea. But it was an awesome looking Batmobile. And the cover for the first issue, that was actually homage in an issue of Tim Seeley's Nightwing run, which also brought back, probably by far, what a lot of people tend to think is the main villain of all Grant Morrison's works, Batman, Dr. Simon Hurt, a character who is a loose relative of the Wayne family, who at one point claimed to be Thomas Wayne. Despite the fact he really isn't. Yeah, here's the thing. Simon Hurt is immortal. He has lived for 500 years, unlike, let's say, Ra's or basically Vandal Savage. Oh, in case you're curious, though, has Simon Hurt ever met Ra's al Ghul or Vandal Savage? Nope. No, he hasn't. Yep. And, of course, basically, one thing I appreciate about Grant Morrison, during the course of his Batman and Robin run, he pretty much had, expression of the Wayne history, the fact there was a lot of stuff about Wayne Manor was developed, which that was really cool. And he also introduced the character Professor Pig during the opening story arc of Batman and Robin. Now you're probably thinking, Professor Pig, you mean that character showed up in Beware the Batman with Mr. Toad? Yes. Though in the show, him and Mr. Toad were environmental terrorists. In the comic book, Professor Pig is a gangster. A gangster wearing an apron, and he also forced people to wear pig masks. Yes, for some reason, Grant Morrison thought that was a really neat idea. Also, there was a character named Scarlet introduced in this storyline. Yeah, who became sort of a recurring character in Grant Morrison's first year of his book, who had this other face basically glued onto her own. Yeah, it was kind of weird and disgusting. And here's the thing, it was never removed. And you're probably thinking, wait, was this character loose inspiration for Joker's daughter? I have no idea. Yeah, so she decided, after that opening story, which was 3 issues, by the way, and Mr. Toad was actually killed off in the opening story arc of Grant Morrison's run for Batman and Robin. And also, if you read his run, the first 12 issues are simply put 4 3-issue story arcs. Yeah, that's the only thing Grant Morrison basically did for the book. Yes, I thought it was really cool. Though he also featured Damian in 2 other comic books this period of time. He also, not only in this book, he was also featured in Batman Streets of Gotham, Batman Gates of Gotham. He was also featured heavily as a pivotal part of Batman Inc. Yes, Batman Inc., where he was sort of a recurring character second half of the series before New 52 relaunch. Though Grant Morrison was able to continue the storyline despite that. And he also briefly took up another alias during that period of time because his mother was trying to kill him. Yes, Talia, his own mother, was trying to kill him. His beautiful mother. Yes, who basically who has a nickname for Batman, calls him Beloved because she's madly in love with him. Despite the fact this woman's also made out with freaking Deathstroke for some reason. And at one point, I'll get to that in a minute, basically, involving Deathstroke. So, yeah. Though they did pretty much, you can kind of say that the 3-parter that pretty much was toward the end of the first one, Batman and Robin, that was simply kind of the end of the run. Though one thing I appreciate, though, is that issue 16 of Batman and Robin led into Batman the Return, which was this last story was really cool. Simon Hurt, basically, him and his goons were basically battling Batman and Robin in the mansion, and then all of a sudden, the clock that goes to the Batcave opens, and then here comes Bruce Wayne, aka the Batman. And what does he do? He beats up Simon Hurt, which, even if you read the comic, is just an awesome moment to see, which I highly recommend checking out. Now, the biggest difference between Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson when they're Batman, Dick Grayson, despite like he's muscular, he is thin. He's basically like he's basically an acrobat, so he's basically very thin. Bruce Wayne is bulky. He's basically humongously muscular because a lot of the time Bruce Wayne is known for working out a lot. Dick Grayson does work out too, but mostly puts a lot of running and basically a lot of cardio for him. No, I'm not getting my exercise routine. So, with New 52 relaunch, when it comes to Damian's backstory, with the exception of basically his conception, they pretty much kept everything canon for him. Despite like some of the other stuff related to DC Comics basically was not canon in the current continuity. He also did briefly appear in an issue of Superman Batman, where he teamed up with Supergirl. It was a Halloween issue, and it was revealed at the end of the issue. Damian developed a crush on Supergirl. Yes, Supergirl. Yeah, this is during a period of time when she basically wore a costume exposed to her belly, which I've spoken to one of the writers of that book, Tony Bedard. He did not like the costume at all. He actually hated it. He actually liked he actually was more in favor a bit of the relaunch costume. He liked that one better, despite the fact she didn't wear a skirt. Yeah. So, aside from that, he did also briefly became part of the Teen Titans before New 52 relaunch. Yeah, he wasn't part of Teen Titans very long. Came in issue 87, left after a crossover with Red Robin, though he did come back for the final 3 issues of the run before the relaunch. Yep, and he mistakenly assumed that he was leading the team because he was Robin. Though they would use this motivation for the recent run for Teen Titans. So, then New 52 relaunch happened. Nothing changed for Damian. Now his costume, in case you're curious though, he's by far the only Robin to have a hood part of his costume. And though he did have a slight different redesign of his costume for Rebirth. So, with New 52 relaunch, what book was he featured in? Batman and Robin. He was also occasionally featured as a recurring character in the main Batman book, and he was also featured in Batman and Dark Knight as a recurring character. Well, under Greg Hurwitz's run, of course, because the original run didn't feature him at all. Yeah, he was basically a recurring character in those 2 books. If you're curious still, did he show up in Nightwing? No, he never did. He was sort of a supporting character in several of the really big storylines going on in Batman comics. Stuff like Night of Owls, which there was an issue of Batman Dark Knight he did appear in. There was also Death of the Family, who was playing a supporting role in that one. And then of course, and here just by sheer coincidence, not long after Death of the Family, he died. Yes, he got killed by his own freaking clone, the Heretic. Yes, he got killed by his clone toward the end of the Batman Inc. series. Now, I've heard the reason why he was killed off because Grant Morrison was done with him. Despite the fact DC Comics was not done with him, so Pierre J. Tomasi decided to change the name of the title Batman and Robin to basically became a team-up title for basically, except for 17 issues, it's all Bruce Wayne and Damian. Father-son team. 18 is the aftermath of Damian's death, which also had the first and only appearance in continuity of Carrie Kelly, who apparently was giving him acting lessons. Yes, Carrie Kelly was giving the son of Batman acting lessons. Okay, fine. And during the course of the next year, Bruce Wayne was trying to figure out a way to resurrect his dead son. Like he tried basically taking apart Frankenstein. Yeah, it was a really weird time for the book. Basically, this whole first team-up stuff, this lasted from issues 19 and it wrapped up with issue 23 because issue 24 to 28 it became Batman Two-Face, where the book became really weird. How weird? Let's see. Let's give Two-Face a new backstory where it wasn't Sal Mariani who gave him his scars. It was some woman he put in prison who basically decided to, get this, chain him to a bed, basically hands and feet, have his shirt partially open, and dump a champagne bottle full of acid on his face and his chest. Why the heck Pierre J. Tomasi wanted... I've never asked about this. Why the heck came up with this new backstory? I have no idea. Why the heck did I take up 5 issues of Batman and Robin? I have no idea. The raft this, we had the hunt for Damian. No, more like the chase to hunt for Robin. It's more like a chase. Yeah, because Roth decided to take the body. Yep, he did. No, this is where it gets really weird. Like, okay, though during the course of the storyline, Frankenstein gets his arm chopped off, kind of like he did New Futures End, where basically Batman's having a disagreement with Roz, and then a boom tube opens up over where they are, and it's G. Gordon Godfrey, who at this point, this was actually his first post-Flashpoint appearance. Even reading this at the time, basically, I was like, what the heck are you doing here? And where the heck have you been? And why is he here? Because there's an object that was kept in Damian's corpse for some reason. Why in the world he kept in his corpse? I have no idea. So, they take the body to, of all places, Apocalypse. Yes, frickin' Apocalypse. So Batman decides to take his super bat suit, which is similar to one he used Dark Knight Returns, but a little more souped up. So he takes the bat suit. He also kind of tricks his own Batman helmet, though they also go with him to Apocalypse, where Batman finds Darkseid, who apparently, get this, at the time, he apparently was in a healing coma since the events of Justice League Origin. Yes, for 5 years he was in a coma, and it's like, okay, he just woke up. And then, of course, well, then he basically decided to beat the crap out of Darkseid, took his son back, and then used this jewel that basically was part of his body, merged with his body, and it resurrected Damian. Yep. And in the final 3 issues of the run, though, by the way, the second annual of the series, that was, believe it or not, simply put, basically a continuation of Batman. It was a continuation of Nightwing number 0. Yeah, it was a continuation of that. Picked up right where that one shot left off. It was simply put Dick Grayson as Robin Year 1 in the current continuity. So he got revived. For some strange reason, he got superpowers. And then by the end of the series, he lost them. Yep, he lost them. Yep, basically he flew, he was invincible. Yeah, this didn't last very long. It basically wore out, despite the fact he's still pretty much alive. And then, of course, okay, well, the series is over. By the way, Patrick Gleason drew all this whole series, except for like 1 issue. The only issue skipped was actually 29. The reason? Because this was drawn by the artist of Frankenstein Age of Shade. Yes, I found out about this when it came out, when Josh Hayes did a review of this a few years ago. It was about Oh, I think this was about 7 years ago. I think this was. It was a long time ago. So right after the end of Batman and Robin, something unexpected happened. Damian, he got a solo title. Yep, where it had two writers. First, it was written and drawn by Patrick Gleason. Now, I should also point out that during the first story arc of Batman and Robin, which, by the way, you gotta read the History of Monster Man, it's really good. They introduced a character known as Nobody, who was the son of Henry Deckard, who, from all versions of Batman's, basically his backstory, this is the guy who trained Batman in martial arts. This was his son, and Damian killed him in self-defense. This first story arc was actually followed with the very first story arc of Robin, son of Batman. Also, before I continue, there was also another miniseries featuring Damian called Damian, Son of Batman, or was an alternate continuity where him as Batman, he became a lot more violent as Batman, and also sort of this very dangerous future, even worse in 2099. Yep. So during this story arc, they introduced Nobody's daughter, a girl who is about Damian's age, and she basically tries during his first story arc to try to kill him, though she becomes his friend. Though one thing at least got appreciated though by both Patrick Lees and Ray Fox, they did not have two 10-year-olds have sex. Thank you for not doing that. Though this did introduce a very cool character. It used the character Goliath, Damian's pet, who was pretty much the supporting character of this entire series, and even appeared in the series Teen Titans. Yep, he appeared in Teen Titans, and he also appeared in a couple other books. He also appeared in Super Sons, and he also appeared in Batman Beyond. Yep. He was in put Damian's ride and pet. And like they even had an issue of the series tied into the awful like that crossover. I think it was I think what was it? It wasn't Robin Rising, and it was a cross between We Are Robin, Grayson, Detective Comics, and of course a few other books. I think it was what was the name of that crossover? It was a crossover that for a lot of people was completely unnecessary, and it only had build up in like one book. Yeah, one book. It was built up in We Are Robin. Yeah, it was a crossover that, unlike the other ones, basically were probably built up. Yeah, this was a crossover that nobody asked for. I'm trying to find out what I'm trying to figure out here. Oh, Robin War. Yes, he became an integral part of this weird storyline. Yes, this thing. Yes, Damian Wayne became part of this storyline. And even he easily pointed out, though, that this whole thing was utter bullcrap. Even in storyline, this was utter nonsense. Yeah, apparently, get this. This storyline was started because of an incident involving a member of the Robin gang trying to stop a convenience store robbery, and somehow it caused some collateral damage. And this somehow convinced the person from the city council to pass a law to ban all Robin memorabilia. Heck, they even arrested Duke Thomas for the crime of wearing red shoes. No joke. Yeah. Not sure why. And by the way, Damian actually met Chappie Batman during the storyline. And he's like, who are you? He's like, I'm Batman. He's like, no, you're not. Actually, no, he says, He basically is like, yeah, Harper Row was once said that it was basically, I'm not buying it. Yeah, this was Jim Gordon Batman at the time. Yeah, both him and Harper Row got a chance to counter him, and the thing is, he basically didn't recognize him as Batman, purely because of the fact his father is Batman. Yeah, this is the events of Endgame, which Damian didn't take part in this one. Nope, because he's doing off his, well, it was like going on his own solo title. Also, when during this period of time prior to this, he discovered Dick Grayson was alive. Yep, just prior to this crossover happening. Yeah, because Dick Grayson had apparently faked his own death, thanks to Lex Luthor apparently suffocating him. Though the reasoning for it is because the crime syndicate outed him as Nightwing. Though this is wiped away by the end of the series, thanks to some satellites that were discovered in the pages of Batman and Robin Eternal. Damn good storyline, by the way. Yeah, Damian plays a supporting role in that storyline too. Unlike in Batman Eternal, where he does, what does he do in Batman Eternal? Nothing I could think of. Yeah, he was there. He didn't do any. He didn't have a storyline. I mean, mostly was focused on Batman, Batgirl, Harper Row, aka Bluebird, and let's see. They was focused on Jim Gordon, but oh yeah, by the way, Dick Grayson was nowhere in the storyline because he was out of town. Tim Drake, on the other hand, he did have a small role in the story, but as for Damian, no, he never did. So after the events of Batman and Robin Eternal, which of course this happened right after the cancellation of his own series, after 13 issues. By the way, during the course of the series, he discovered his mother was alive. Yeah, his mother got killed off at the end of Batman the end of Batman Inc. by the original Batwoman. Yep, shot her in the Batcave. Oh, by the way, her organization, Leviathan, despite the fact she was resurrected, she did briefly resume back control of the organization before the organization was usurped by the character, the terrorist known as Leviathan, who turned out to be Mark Shaw in the pages of Event Leviathan. I'll discuss more about that in the future. So, basically, he discovers his mother's alive. Of course, they had Batman actually appear in the final issue of the series. And then, of course, with Rebirth, where did he go? He went to Teen Titans. Yep, went to Teen Titans. Which he stayed with the book up until toward the end of the run. He did occasionally appear in Detective Comics, basically during period of Tomasi's run. He didn't do a lot outside of the Teen Titans. Mostly if you want to read what anything Damian was up to from 2016 to basically 2020, you gotta read Teen Titans. Or you can also read, there's an arc for Nightwing he appeared in. Let me think. I think he also appeared in an arc for Detective Comics prior to the Tomasi stuff. And, well, he did quit being Robin back just recently in the second annual for the current volume for Teen Titans. Now, Damian had taken control of the Teen Titans after the apparent death of Tim Drake, and he recruited his first roster. His roster consisted of Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, the second Wally West Kid Flash, and of course he recruited Aqualad to the team during the course of the run, though the reason why they brought him in was because Young Justice came back. Yep. And this was the lineup for the entirety of Ben Percy's run. And this run was part of two crossovers, two really good ones. The Lazarus Contract, and there was also the Super Sons of Tomorrow. Damn good storyline. He also appeared in Superman. Yeah, he was the occasional recurring character during the second arc of Tomasi's run for Superman, which all that did was become a backdoor pilot to the super popular Super Son series. Yep. Damn good series, by the way. And I did ask Period Tomasi, there was a bay in the actual series called Morrison Bay. And I asked him, is that named after Grant Morrison? He said, yes, it is. It is named after Grant Morrison. So, Lacey confirmed it. And of course, this is another book I highly recommend. Basically, written by Period Tomasi. This book is utterly fantastic. It was a shame it got canceled a couple years ago. Even my friend Timmy basically was upset at the cancellation of the series because this series was so good. And Tomasi said the reason why the series ended was because Bendis took over the Superman books and DC had no idea what his plans were. So, axed this book. Apparently axed Supergirl, though they later brought the book back. Super Sons was later relaunched as a limited series known as Adventure Super Sons, still with Tomasi as the writer, which is simply put just a continuation of the Super Sons series. And, well, in the case of the Red Ben Percy, now I should point out though, Percy's run was actually pretty good. I wasn't really a big fan of the characterization of Damian, but the book was really good under Ben Percy. He made it interesting, was exciting to read, though during events there was... Now, this run brought in something that, if you're a long-time Teen Titans fan, you're probably a fan of the classic Teen Titans headquarters, Titans Tower. This just brought back the Jeff Johns version of the Teen Titans Tower, the one introduced at the start of Jeff Johns back in 2003. At the time it returned back in 2016, this was the first time it appeared in 5 years. Yes, because the last time it appeared was back in Teen Titans 100, which came out in 2011. The first story arc of the recent run for Teen Titans ended in I believe it was like 2016, and I think I myself, a lot of other people, were so happy to see the return of this tower, and this was here. The entirety, the rest, right after that first arc wrapped up for Teen Titans, that tower was there. And then it disappeared. It was fixed after... Now, it was damaged during the events of Super Sons Tomorrow. Damn good storyline, by the way. But right after that storyline wrapped up, it still appeared, though basically it became part of another crossover, Dark Knight's Metal. But then after that crossover, then all of a sudden something weird happened. Ben Percy left the book after 19 issues. Though the first crossover this book was part of was the Lazarus Contract, which was really good, by the way, and so was Super Sons Tomorrow. The Gotham Resistance was pretty good. Then after Ben Percy left, we had Adam Glass take over the book, which, oh boy, this run. Yeah, a run that a lot of people were not very happy with. Yeah, Damian became a lot worse, characterization-wise, under this run. I kind of felt as though that this book under Adam Glass was really a step in the wrong direction for the book. Though they had abruptly changed the lineup when Adam Glass took over the book. Now I'm glad they kept Damian and Kid Flash. That was fine. Adding Red Arrow, that was fine, because they actually teased that in the previous run. As a matter of fact, Damian went to recruit her himself because she was recommended to join the team by her own half-brother, Green Arrow. Though they keep changing basically exactly how the character is written. Though Damian, as I said, was on prison in the Adam Glass run, they also introduced 3 new characters. One is the daughter of Lobo, Crush, which I thought she was a damn good character, and I think it was really good. Even out when Damian stepped down to be a leader, I think her being leader of the team was actually a brilliant stroke of genius on the part of Robbie Thompson to do. Yep, they also had Roundhouse, which anybody can tell, but look at this character. He is simply put a cheap ripoff of Gold Balls Marvel Comics. Yeah, that's all he is. He's a ripoff of Gold Balls. And then there's Deja, the 3,000-year-old teenager. The genie who apparently had a thing for Damian and Crush. Now, it was revealed during just prior to the crossover with, I think it was Deathstroke, where it was revealed. I don't mind Adam Glass doing this. He outed Crush as a lesbian when he had her make out with Deja. And there was hints that relationship was going to go any place, but it's almost like Adam Glass set up this idea of Crush being with Deja and then doing nothing with it. I mean, anybody who read the run can probably tell, yeah, Adam Glass had no idea what he was doing. Though I think that basically having Crush reveal that she's in love with Deja, that was an interesting idea. Damian, well, he had this thing where he had a prison, and he's also reprogramming criminals. He was also hunting this person known as the Other. A lot of the Teen Titans probably thought he was basically insane, but it turns out he was real. Yep, he was real, alright. Though prior to this, they had this really good storyline with Lobo, which, despite the fact was really good, this is just my opinion of why this storyline happened in Teen Titans, why Lobo was there. Sales boost. Yep, throwing Lobo for a sales boost, and then once the storyline wrapped up, Lobo was never mentioned again in the series. Yep, and then the events of City of Bane happened, which Alfred died. Before I read an article, Tom King did not want to kill off Alfred anymore. That was actually, you're probably thinking, yeah, that's typical for DC. That's typical for this to happen. That was an editorial mandate, believe it or not, to have him die. Yep, and that apparently changed Damian. Like rather than now, who was the other? The Heretic. Damian's clone. Why the heck did Adam Glass feel this guy was the other? Like, I think a lot of people have probably felt this though, but the other storyline dragged on way too long. Even the revelation of who he was so disappointing. Like, okay, we have it where he apparently survived being beheaded by Talia, where he's shot by some random assassin, which not even Adam Glass bothered to tell who the heck this assassin was. Stitch his head back on, Dumbin Lazarus pit, and he's back being the Other. Okay, fine, whatever. And like, it would seem like not long after this storyline happened, we had, of course, the debate happen in the course of In the Pages of Batman, where Damian decided to start killing people. Like, he apparently killed Deathstroke, though he later came back alive. And then with the second annual Teen Titans, now of course he also has Superboy guest star for an issue. With the second annual of Teen Titans, Damian quits being Robin. Says, "Oh yeah, he's free." Rips off his Robin leotard, his symbol, and just leaves. That was the last time he appeared, because it's been like a couple months since he appeared, and not long after that, the Teen Titans book ended. Though my friend Tim can agree, this book probably should have ended a long time ago because Adam Glass clearly had no idea what he was doing. He just basically threw ideas at the wall, see if they stuck, and the fact that his style of storytelling was not everybody's cup of tea. And thinking back at it, it kind of felt similar to a Suicide Squad run. Yes, he also had it where Damian had the group based out of a warehouse, which I have to ask the question, what happened to the headquarters? What happened to Titans Tower? Yeah, it was damaged, but at the end of the run was fixed. But in the case of Titans Tower itself, well, the actual building that Damian had built, nope, it completely disappeared. For some reason, they couldn't be based out of that building anymore in San Francisco. Nope, we had to base out of a warehouse. Though at the end of the book, they actually have him go to Dan Abnett Titans book, where they kind of go to Titans Tower from Dan Abnett's book, which I agree with Tivy. I was mentioning to Tivy in the comment section of his video we reviewed it. Even he was so happy to see not only the Dan Abnett Titans lineup, but also seeing the tower from his run. Even I was so happy to see that. Though it's going to continue in a one-shot for Endless Winter. And what happens next. But yeah, that's the end of Damian. So, mostly everything featuring Damian has pretty much been collected in trade. So don't worry about that. Now, these books I recommend basically if you want to read about Damian. This book, definitely. I also recommend Battle for the Cow, Robin and Batman. The entirety of the Batman Robin series, both the first and second volume for the series. There's also Streets of Gotham, which is a supported character in that book. That book was really good. I also recommend mainly the first 19 issues of the recent volume for Teen Titans because that was with the good issues, not the bad issues by Adam Glass. Let's see. There's also Super Sons by Perry J. Tomasi and Adventures Super Sons, which was really good, and Tomasi's and the Arkham Knight story arc from the Ted comic, which did feature Damian as a supporting character. But yeah, those books I recommend featuring Damian. But yeah, that's not much else to say about Damian. And of course, this episode. Now, this is basically run for quite some time, so I'm gonna basically do my comic corner, which I'm still planning on doing. So I'm gonna do that a little bit later after I put this video up. But yeah, not much else to say about Damian Wayne. But yeah, that's. You're probably thinking, okay, is that all the Robins? Well, there is one left that I can talk about. Now you're probably thinking, what about Stephanie Brown? I'll talk about her when I talk about the Batgirls. This one I can talk about because she was specially recognized as Robin. Well, for one series per se. In the next episode for this series, I will discuss the alternate version of Robin, who took up Robin back in the 80s, in alternate continuity by Frank Miller. From the pages of Dark Knight Returns, I'm talking about Carrie Kelly. Yes, Carrie Kelly, the redheaded girl who became Robin for one miniseries. I'll discuss in episode 46. And yes, I'm still planning to do a comic corner today, okay? To the next video. Bye.